is where Ed McMahon lived. If you remember The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, he was a sidekick. Here's Johnny. And a TV show called Star Search 2. That was Ed McMahon's house. You'll notice some original homes on the right and some rebuilt homes on the left. Around this corner to the left, one of my favorite homes on this block, in fact, is the home that belonged to Peter Falk, who played Columbo on television, and his widow, Shira Falk. She still lives in that house. And Peter and Shira Falk, they lived right next door to Jack Benny, the comedian Jack Benny on the left there in the brick house. And across the street to your right is where Joan Crawford lived. They made a movie called Mommy Dearest about her life after she died in posthumous movie. And she lives in the house that used to belong to Fred Astaire, the dancer. And a lot of people don't know that not Elizabeth Montgomery, but the mother, Agnes Moorehead back then. She, before she was on Bewitched, she was an accomplished dancer. She worked with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Agnes Moorehead, but anyway, Fred Astaire lived in that house, and so did Joan Crawford, but not at the same time. And the most famous house on the block, I was telling you about that one on the left. For over 30 years, that's where Lucille Ball lived. Lucy lived in that house with Desi Arnaz until they divorced. And after that, she lived there with her second husband, Gary Morton. And Lucy planted those roses in that garden herself and loved working in that rose garden. That was her therapy, she said. She was Hollywood's first female chief executive of a television studio called Desi Productions. And she was working in that garden the day before she died in 1989. And that house across the street, behind that 100-year-old barrel lodge you see sitting there, is where Jimmy Stewart used to live. Jimmy Stewart from It's a Wonderful Life. But honestly, not in that house. They rebuilt it as well. But it was on that lot. There's a very, very historical home in Beverly Hills for a couple of reasons, but the main reason is it's where the very first African American in Beverly Hills ever lived. It's that one on your left. I'm getting out of the way of the scooter here. Behind that gate there, on the left, is where Ella Fitzgerald lived, the jazz singer. She was the first black person there. She was given that house as a gift by Capitol Records. I'm not sure if that's because they wouldn't sell to her or if they just were that happy for her with the gates open. And Ella Fitzgerald lived right across the street from the highest paid, most famous actor in Hollywood in his career. It's Paul Newman. That was Paul Newman's house. And Paul lived in that house until about 2 years before he passed away. And he went back to Connecticut for his health. Paul Newman. We know him now for the salad dressing, right? And this is Sunset Boulevard again. I told you guys, Beverly Hills used to be a neighborhood in Los Angeles. And then they decided in 1914 they wanted to incorporate it so they could control everything from their